What do men secretly want but will rarely tell you? In my book, Cracking the Man Code, I write an entire chapter on a man's greatest desire and a man's deepest fear. And so I'm going to share with you one of the stories that will illustrate what a man deeply wants but rarely will tell you. And it comes from my own life experience where I'm trying to figure out what's going wrong in my love life. Years I'm dating, I'm having the same experience where it's crash and burn relationships. I'm never attracting anyone that I really like. And my mom says the one common denominator, Matt, in all of these relationships that you've had is you. So there's something going on in you that you've got to figure out in order to attract the relationship you want. And so I attend this 7-day retreat to figure out what's going on with me. And on day 4, the facilitator says, all right, you guys, we're going to play a game. There's 100 of us there, about 50 men, 50 women. So she puts all the men in chairs in the front of the room, and we all have clipboards, paper, and a pen. This game is called the Island Game, and here's how it works. What you're going to do is you're going to go down the line of these men, and you're going to vote on each man. You're going to look him in the eyes, and based on this question, you're going to give him a yes vote or a no vote. And the question is, if he was the last man to choose from on the planet, would you want him stranded on a deserted island with you? Yes or no? Now, this isn't about attraction. This is about just his beingness over the last 4 days. Gentlemen, we just want you to capture the yes votes and the no votes that you received. The tension in the room skyrocketed. I was like, what? Are we really doing this? And the women were like, okay. And bless their hearts, because they were honest and real and brutal. The women went down the line. They were like, yes, yes, no, no, yes, no, yes, no. It was like, oh my God. At the end, we had our number of yes votes and no votes tallied up. And the facilitator said, all right, gentlemen, I want you to stand up and order yourself from the man who has the most yes votes all the way down to the man who has the most no votes, so that everybody can see. Got our place in line, and after everyone was done getting their spot, I was second to last with most no votes. There's only one guy who got more no votes than me, and that dude was a total jerk, like super abrasive and loud, and like nobody liked that guy. And I'm standing next to that guy. And in all transparency, I was like, that guy? How did that guy get more yes votes than me? The facilitator kind of saw what was going on. She goes, is there anyone here who's surprised by where they're standing? And so really embarrassed, I raised my hand. And I said, yeah, I'm surprised by where I'm standing. And she goes, Matt, great. Thank you for raising your hand. Ladies, is there anyone here who would be willing to give Matt the gift of feedback? And all these hands shot up in the room. All these women were wanting to give me feedback. And so one by one, they stood up and they shared. And overall, the majority of their sharers all landed on the same key point. And that is that they don't feel like they can connect to me. They didn't feel like they could connect to the real me, like I was performing, like I was trying to gain their favor, gain their approval. It was like I had this looking good mask on, looking good program on. I didn't want to believe it. It resonated with me. And you know how that is. When someone says something, you can feel the truth in it. I knew that that was the case because what I wanted the most in my life is connection. I valued relationships more than anything else. And the irony was, by trying to get the connection and using that particular strategy, it was costing me the very connection that I wanted. And I also knew, after doing a lot of reflection, where it came from. I was so critical of myself. I was so hard on myself. There was so much of me that I didn't believe was worthy of love. So much of me that I believed was flawed that I wasn't willing to let people see that part of me, because if they saw that part of me, they wouldn't love me. If they saw that part of me, they wouldn't want to be my friends. So after the retreat, I'm headed home, and a longtime friend of mine named Aga knew that I was going to the retreat, and she wanted to hear the debrief of this. And she was like calling me up, Matt, so great you're on your way home. Can I come over and hear about the retreat? And I'm like, sure. And so she comes over, and I'm debating in my mind, like, do I tell her about this? And I was really close to Aga. And so it's like this whole story going on in my mind. She's crying. She was like, what was the biggest breakthrough? And I'm thinking, should I tell her? And finally, I just think to myself, I'm just gonna tell her everything. And so I shared the whole experience, the island game experience, the insights I had, the women voting on me and explaining to me what happened, and the Looking Good program and all of it. And the whole time I don't even have the courage to look Aga in the eyes. I'm just looking down, telling her all of this stuff. And my stomach is in knots, not knowing how she's gonna respond. And when I finally look up, Aga has tears in her eyes, tears streaming down her cheeks. And she said, Matt, I want you to know I have never felt closer to you than I feel right now. That was a life-changing moment for me. It was just, and here's why. The very thing that I had wanted, which was connection, real connection with somebody else, came from the thing that I was most afraid to do, which was to share the part of me that was vulnerable. Completely transformed my life, changed their trajectory. I began to read and research, how do we create deeper connection? How do we feel more open in the ability to share so that we can have the deep, amazing intimacy, emotional friendship intimacy, relationship, romantic intimacy that we want in our lives? And at the end of the day, what my heart craved the most was something that I had a very difficult time giving to myself, which was love and acceptance. What your man wants the most is to be accepted for who he really is, the flaws and all. What your man fears the most is inadequacy, not measuring up, not being good enough in your eyes, your mind. One of his greatest desires is to actually be respected, because a man who's measuring up is able to provide and to protect in a way that you want. And so when a man provides and protects in a way that you want, he naturally gains the respect of his family, the respect of his partner. So that's why men interpret respect as the ultimate form of love. What we fear most is inadequacy. And so this fear of like, I'm not going to be loved and accepted because I'm not doing a good job, I'm not enough. And so there are two beautiful ways that you can actually give his heart what it wants most, the thing he doesn't even know he is asking for. The first is to love and accept yourself and all the unlovable, the parts of us that don't feel worthy, all of those aspects of ourselves. When you love and accept those parts of yourself, that energy stretches out. That energy throws the door open wide to love, and he can feel that because you love and accept yourself in that way, that you can actually love and accept the parts of him that feel unlovable or unworthy. And it is transformational, the safe place that creates for him. The second thing that you can do that is amazing is that when he does fall short, when he does make a mistake, when he does drop the ball, so to speak, be a soft place to fall, because you know the most tender aspect of him is the feeling of inadequacy. And there is probably a lot of things that he's doing great, a lot of ways he's showing up. And often it's so easy that when someone screws up, we have the opportunity to rake them across the coals or treat them the way that our parents or the way that we were brought up treated us when we made a mistake. But it can be magic if when your man makes a mistake, to actually be a soft place to fall. That means have compassion, have patience, have forgiveness for him. And an example that completely transformed my relationship with my wife, like took it even deeper, was when we had just gotten married and we had come back from the wedding. We were leaving the next day for our honeymoon. And so we're opening up packages and I get on my phone an alert. And the alert says, your flight for your honeymoon leaves in 1 hour. And I'm like, no, it leaves tomorrow. It doesn't leave in an hour. I went and checked the flight. No, it was leaving in an hour. And I had totally blown it and messed up and forgot that our flight to our honeymoon left that day instead of the next day. And now I was in charge of the honeymoon. I had made all the plans. I had booked the flights, the hotel, the whole thing. I'm like frantic. I call the hotel. They know that we're going to come in a day later. Now we've missed an entire day of our honeymoon. I rebooked the flights for the next day, but it cost $1,500 that we didn't have. That was like our entire wedding money that people had given us. And I'm like, oh my God, now I've got to go tell my new wife that I blew our honeymoon. So she's in the living room. She's still all happy opening gifts. And I'm like, Irene, can I talk to you for a second? She's like, sure, what's up? I said, I don't know how I did this. I completely blew it. Our honeymoon flight leaves in like 30 minutes. And I thought it was tomorrow. And I'm so sorry. And I was able to call the hotel. They're okay if we show up tomorrow, but I had to rebook the flight. That cost $1,500. We're on a flight for tomorrow, but I am so sorry. And like she's staring at me like this blank expression. And I'm thinking, I have no idea how she's going to react. She's like, give me a second. And so she walks over to the kitchen. I'm like, I don't know if she's getting a knife to murder me or if she's like, what she's doing. She finally comes back. She says, I want you to know it's okay. We all make mistakes. And she came up to me. She put my face in her hands. She gave me a kiss and she goes, let's go start our honeymoon right now. And she pulled me into the bedroom. Later, I learned that when she went into the kitchen, she like screamed in a towel and then composed herself and came back. What I love about that is that her initial reaction was, yes, frustration and like, how in the hell could I have missed this? But she chose to be a soft place to fall. She knew that I was already feeling shame and guilt around this mistake, so she didn't need to pile on. The biggest move that she could make in that moment was to know that she still believed in me, she still trusted me as a partner, and yes, we all make mistakes because those are the most vulnerable moments for your man. And so I challenge you to dial up the compassion you're giving yourself. Love the parts of you that don't feel enough. Love the parts of you that don't feel worthy. And then to dial up the being the soft place to fall, and the two go together. The softer you are on yourself, the easier it is to be a soft place to fall when your man makes a mistake. I hope you do this because you will see the great impact it has in his devotion for you and wanting to be the man that you want in that relationship. I appreciate you. I hope you grab a copy of Cracking the Man Code because it goes into detail on exactly how to do these two things and fill up your man's heart in a way he's never been filled before so that he turns around and fills up your heart in a way it has never been filled before. I appreciate you. I'm sending you lots of love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.